Hello everyone, I'm Lorene HD, and in this video we're going to talk about fear of rejection, also known as getting into a mental wormhole about how we can't possibly imagine getting back into the dating scene, because if we did, we would have to disclose, and we feel that if we disclosed, we would get rejected for living with herpes or whatever other incurable STI that we're living with. So if that's what you're dealing with, it has a name. It's called anticipatory anxiety, which tends to happen when we consistently project a negative outcome when thinking about a particular situation which hasn't happened yet. So essentially, it's a destabilizing mind game that your mind plays on itself without you being aware of it in the moment. So your mind is playing director and you've inadvertently been casted as lead actor. So you might be thinking, my anticipatory anxiety has a point though. It helps me emotionally prepare in case rejection happens, and if it doesn't happen, then I can only be pleasantly surprised. Yes, but no. First of all, if your preparation for emotional pain is causing you emotional pain, then it's not preparation, it's emotional pain. So if rejection is to happen, why would you put yourself through it twice? And then secondly, constantly projecting a negative outcome onto a situation means constantly triggering our nervous system, because our bodies are not reacting to thoughts as case scenarios, they're reacting to thoughts as reality. So this can actually lead to increased heart rate, sweating, rapid shallow breathing, all the way to an upset stomach or even a headache. So you're going to exhaust yourself mentally and physically reacting to a situation that is literally only happening in your head. And then lastly, the more you stress your body, the more you stress your nervous system, the more likely you are to experience an outbreak, which then is only going to reinforce the wrong association that the reality of your status means that rejection will be the only reality you'll be confronted with in your dating life. And so this is where I come in and stop the rejection as the only reality bus. One, because my own experience has proven to me over and over again that it is absolutely bogus, but also because I hear way too many stories from way too many people who thought they were going to disclose to a partner and be met with a rejection, but actually that hasn't happened. If you're looking for some data, because anecdotal evidence is nice, but it's not solid, you can check out a survey conducted by Broadley and Tonic to 4,000 of their readers aged between 18 to 34, where they found out that even after being told that their partner had an STI, 68% of respondents went ahead and hooked up with them anyways. So does that mean that you won't ever be rejected? No, of course not. What it does mean is that you no longer have a valid reason to keep thinking of rejection as the only possible outcome of your disclosure. Okay, so let's recap a little bit. We talked about anticipatory anxiety, what it is, how it shows up, why it's unhelpful, and still I can hear your mind playing double agent. Yeah, I know rejection is not the only possible outcome to a disclosure. That makes sense. But also, it can happen. Like, it's possible for it to happen. And if it did, what would I do? Like, actually, can I do anything to prevent it from happening? I want to talk to the second agent. Let's call him Scared Scott. So it turns out Scott gets scared when he can't control a situation, when he can't make people do what he wants them to do. So that's why he keeps playing this rejection scenario over and over again, not because it's the most likely scenario that is going to happen to you, but because not being able to prevent it from happening scares the shit out of him. And so he might make you think things like, let's just not disclose. And no, that's not an option. Even if you are very careful, even if you use all the protections that you can, unless the risk is reduced to zero, which it can't, you have to let people make the decision for themselves. You have to give your partners the chance to decide whether they want to be intimate with you or not. You cannot make that decision for them. So if you need tips on how to disclose, I've made a video about that. You can check it, but not telling a partner while getting intimate with them is not an option. Another thing he might make you think is, let's just not date ever again. Fine. It's not because we're sexual beings that we always have to be sexual, or that we always have to be sexual with each other. I, for one, took a break from the dating scene for about 6 months after finding out about my diagnosis, because I didn't feel comfortable sharing parts of me that I wasn't embracing myself in the first place. But if I could give you an unsolicited advice, right? Welcome to the internet. I would invite you to make sure that there is an intention behind that break, and that you use that time to find yourself rather than to run away from others, if that makes sense. I think it makes sense. Another thing that he might make you think is, let's just date people who have herpes too. And yes, but this would be kind of the most ironic plot twist, because by only dating people who have herpes, you would be rejecting people who don't have herpes, because you feel that they would be rejecting you for having it. That's kind of very twisted. So here's a second incoming unsolicited piece of advice. Don't let fears decide who is and who isn't for you. And don't set the bar as low as finding someone who accepts your status. Set it as high as finding someone who can match your qualities and like sweep you off your feet. And then the last thing that Scared Scott might make you think is, well, I'll just stay with my current partner, even though I know that they're not the right one for me, but I just can't imagine that anyone else would accept me with this. Do I really need to get into this one? Yeah, that's what I thought. So if you're having these thoughts, know that they're coming from Scared Scott, who lives in anticipatory anxiety world. And recognize that he is coming from a place of control, which is an illusion, because we can't control other people's thoughts or other people's behaviors. So ground yourself as much as possible in reality. Whenever he's talking to you, notice him, interrupt him, and talk some sense into him. Try to set the stage more in a place of containment, where you're allowing these responses and reactions to exist and be expressed, but also setting some clear boundaries around how much you're going to let these responses affect you. If you think this video was helpful, please leave a thumbs up, and if you feel comfortable to share, let me know how Scared Scott shows up in your head. What are the kind of things that he tells you, and how do you go about keeping him in check? That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.